Good day, everyone. Welcome to Colegio de Calumpit Miting De Avance 2021. I'm Jeric P. Sabino and I will be your host for today's program. To formally start this program, we will request everyone to please stand for the Philippine National Anthem. Please remain standing for our opening prayer.
Let us bow our heads, place ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you today with humble hearts and with gratefulness for all the wonders and blessings you have showered upon us. Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today in this important event. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be in this momentous event. May you bestow your guidance and blessings on this event so that we can enjoy and appreciate the significance in our lives. Bless everyone present today, that each may be able to share what he or she has for your glory and honor. Truly, discipline, perseverance, and determination to excel are instilled in us abundantly. This is not about ranking oneself among bests, but this is about the humble heart of a person who is able to see how blessed he is despite the odds and difficulties along the way. Lord, we acknowledge that everything comes from you, the God who orchestrates every second of our lives so perfectly. Because of his great love for us, all the praises and awards that we will receive today are meant to be given back to you. It is because of your grace and your guidance that we have come this far. Whatever is set before us, we give all the glory back to you. May this event be a success through your intervention. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Before we begin, let me share to you first the program flow. First, we have the presentation of Miting De Avance guidelines, followed by the Miting De Avance, knowing the candidates, platform or advocacy, and the closing statement. Miting De Avance guidelines. First, medium of communication shall be in English. Second, the party list presidential candidate will be given enough time to introduce herself, his or her party list, and his or her co-candidates. Third, each candidate will be given a time to briefly introduce themselves and present their platform. Each candidate will present their platform or advocacy to the audience, no time required. And lastly, the presidential candidates will be given a time for the closing statement. Good day, everyone. It's such a pleasure to meet all of you here, even if this is a virtual Miting De Avance. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Janjeric P. Sabino, running for the position of President and also the President of Change Party List. So what does our party list is going to raise? My only answer is change. It is time for a change. Because we all know that there is nothing permanent in this world except for change. It is time to step up and end the cycle. Our party list will focus more on those issues of our country that will bring change to the society and also to our fellow Filipinos. Now it's time to introduce my co-candidates, starting off with Mr. Neo Coteros, Miss Bianca Asban, Miss Nicole Maglalang, Miss Rachel Manlapi, Miss Andrea Rueda, and Mr. Gabriel Pantangan. And for the position of Vice President, we have Miss Shairen Zulweta. And lastly, I am Janjeric P. Sabino, running for the position of President. Before I end this, I want to leave all of you a single word. Always remember that change is the synonym of hope, and hope is everyone's dreams. Good day, everyone. I'm Janjeric P. Sabino, the presidential candidate for Change Party List. I would like to start my opening statement with a question. Why do people change? Or why do you want to change? For me, because I want to improve. That is my reason why I'm standing here in front of you. I want all of you to witness the change that our party list will bring to our society and also to our country. From equality, human rights, and also in different aspects where most of the people cannot show their true self because of the fear. The fear of discrimination, the fear of judgment. It is time to break the cycle that our lives circling to. Everyone have the rights to live, to choose their gender identity, to believe what they believe in. Let's make our dream come true. Again, this is Janjeric P. Sabino, running for the position of President.
Good day, everyone. I am Sharon Zuleta and I am running for Vice President.
Good day, everyone. I'm Christine Andrea S. Rueda, running for the position of Senator under Change Party List. Be ready because change is coming. Once again, Christine Andrea S. Rueda for Senator.
Hey, good day everyone. I'm Nicole Jane A. Maglalang, aiming for the position of Senatorial under Change Party List. I stand here today to represent my advocacy to the voice of others who are experiencing discrimination, people who are not treated equally, and to those who was taken their rights. Everyone has own human rights. Everyone has the freedom to express themselves, to be happy in this world. Strength doesn't come from one fight with change. All we need ourselves to speak ourselves.
A pleasant day, everyone. Let me introduce myself. Rachel Manlapi of Change Party.
Hi, good day to all listening. My name is Gabriel Pagdaanan, running for Senators. If you will be appointed as one of the Senators, I will raise my own advocacy to help my fellow Filipino to have a better place they can live. Thank you.
Hello again everyone, my name is Neo Coteros and I am a Change Party senatorial candidate.
Before that, let me present a simple video that will give you an insight about the next senator.
Bago mangyari ang pandemya, normal ang takbo ng mundo. Ang lahat ay nasa kani-kanilang lugar na kinabibilangan. Hanggang sa isang araw,
land, domestic air and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning March 15, 2020 and to end on April 14, 2020.
ang mga pinto ay naging sarado. Mga lugar na dati ay matao, naging paralisado. Laging may takip ang aking mukha, bakas sa mata ang pagkabalisa. Natutunan kong matuto nang wala sa paaralan. Iba pa rin talaga yung nasa lugar na kinasanayan. Sa tuwing binubuksan ko ang telebisyon, ay walang ibang napapanood at naririnig kundi tungkol sa pandemya. Salitang ngayon ko lang narinig, ngunit ramdam ko agad ang hagupit.
Base sa DOH data, ngayong 4 p.m., 5,277 ang bagong kaso, 65,764 sa ngayon ang active cases, 1,131 ang bagong gumaling, kaya 133,463 na ang total recoveries. 3,137 naman ang total deaths dahil may 99 na bagong talang nasawi.
Binuksan ko ang telepono. Nakakapanghina ang mga larawang aking nakikita. Paano na ang aking kinabukasan? Pinilit kong lumaban at ibinaling ang atensyon kung saan-saan. Sa aking paghahanap, natagpuan ko ang lunas at kasagutan. Kaya habang naaalala ko ang mga pinagdaanan ko noon, napapangiti na lang ako. Di ako makapaniwala na nalagpasan ko lahat yon. Mabuti na lang, naging matatag ako at nanalig sa Panginoon. Salamat. At natapos na ang pandemya.
Now let's have our first senator, starting off with Mr. Neo Wateras.
I'm standing here in front of you because I want to help our country. I'd like you to consider about whether our health is very essential to us or whether we should disregard it just as we ignore an epidemic when it first arises and act once it has reached our country. I believe that allocating more funds to our healthcare system will allow us to avoid similar catastrophic events in the future, as well as offer our social health workers the assurance that they will be able to return home safely without sacrificing a member of their family. The coronavirus disease 19 or COVID-19 pandemic has caused the drastic changes to population across the globe. To control the transmission of this lethal disease, societies have halted majority of economic activities and permitted at most only the most essential activities such as those related to food and health. The Interagency Task Force Technical Working Group on Anticipatory and Forward Planning IATF-TWG for AFP, comprised of different government agencies and led by the National Economic and Development Authority, was created to assess the impact of COVID-19 and the enhanced community quarantine, and provide recommendations to stimulate the economy and adapt to the new normal in the report We Recover as One, developed by the IATF-TWG for AFP. Recommendations to mitigate the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 are discussed and the new normal described for various sectors. Pandemic preparedness and response are quintessential global public goods. Unless the new coronavirus is controlled everywhere, the risk of pandemic resurgence remain. This paper presents the key role of development finance in helping developing countries. Health systems prepared and respond to outbreaks, yet the global architecture is proving insufficient and the risk is great that developing countries will be deeply affected by the consequences of the outbreak. Development finance for health requires a shift in support towards more focused investment in transnational activities. It also needs to move from targeted support to specific communicable disease to more systemic resources to prevent chronic disease and meeting the challenge of universal health coverage. As I previously stated, we should prioritize our health. In our current situation, being vaccinated is for our entire nation to gain herd immunity, allowing us to at least return to normalcy.
Napakalaking bagay sa kanila yung touch. Siyempre, you cannot talk to them one-on-one. Minsan, kinakailangan kausapin mo sila. Iba talaga yung face-to-face na nararamdaman mo, ang pagmamahal ng guro mo, pagmamahal ng yung mga kaklase. Kinakailangan natin ipagpatuloy ang pag-aaral. Hindi pwede tumigil ang pag-aaral. What kung di matapos ang pandemic? May stop ba ang education? Kinakailangan tuloy-tuloy. Kaya ako, kahit mahirap, gagawin ko ang lahat para makapagturo pa rin.
As we acclimatize to the new normal, where almost everything is done online, the Philippines faces another challenge as it lags behind other countries in terms of availability, affordability, and speed of internet access. Internet connectivity and technological literacy has become more crucial in the country as schools are forced to hold their classes online and implement a so-called blended learning program.
Noong una po ma'am, dapat hindi ko po talaga sila i-enroll kasi inisip ko na paano po wala kaming wifi, wala po kaming gadget, wala kaming lahat. Ano po gagamitin nila sa pag-online. Pero nung napahiram po kami ng gadget ng tita niya, sabi ko sige pwede na to kahit isa lang. Palitan po sila kung sino po yung mauuna. Bumibili po kami sa kapitbahay namin ng hotspots. Kaso mahirap din po mag-connect kasi ang dami pong nakakonect sa kanila pag nagkaklase po. Kasi minsan po nasabi rin ng anak ko, ayoko na lang mag-aral man, nahirapan ako dito. Gusto ko pumunta na lang sa school para doon na lang kami ng teacher ko magkita. Kaso nga po, hindi nga pwede.
As classes shifted online, having a quiet and comfortable learning environment for children who generally have a short attention span is vital but a privilege not available to all. Aside from internet access and the home environment, millions of Filipinos lack the basic digital skills that they need to conduct and attend online classes.
For those who are literate sa computer, kayang-kaya nila. I think mga magagaling sila kasi sa training na ibinigay sa amin. Pero ako, habang nanonood ako sa training, pag isang click din ako makasunod, no more, din ako talaga makakasunod. I use the blackboard kasi yan ang sanay ako. Hindi ako sanay na magpupunta pa sa Google uli. Hindi ko talaga kaya. Once na 2 to 3 clicks na, hindi ko na talaga, malilito na talaga ako.
Naisip ko pong magiging involved ako kasi ang alam ko po, hindi pa po siya marunong magpindot. Hindi rin po ako marunong magpindot. Sabi ko, mapag-aaralan ko naman po. Andyan naman po yung ate niya para maturuan kami kung paano ipindot. Kung sinabi ko sa ate niya, pag hindi ko na kaya, ikaw na lang kasi nahirapan ako, hindi ako sanay. Ikaw sanay ka magpipindot ng cellphone. Ang alam ko lang na cellphone po, yung keypad po, dipindot. Yun.
While the challenges are many, active cooperation between parents and teachers has made it possible for the children to continue their education during these unusual times.
Mag-cooperate lang ang bawat isa. Unti-unting matututo tayo. We will be improving. Habang tumatagal, we will all improve hanggang magiging perfect na tayo dito. Mape-perfect din natin ito. 121. Akala ko nga dati, disaster. Pero ngayon, nakita ko, I'm enjoying. Tuwang-tuwa ako tuwing nakikita kong mga bata na happy sila. Ang mga na overcome naman. Kaya patuloy lang. Left, right, left and right, up, down. Ang gagaling ng mga bata. Kayang-kaya nilang magsulat ng 200. Narinig ko kayo lahat na sumasagot. Kaya masayang-masaya ako.
Let's move on to our next senator. May I call on Ms. Andrea Rueda for its speech.
In this election, as I run, I want to focus and support the Senate Bill number 2454, One Tablet, One Student Act. This was filed on November 24, 2021 by Binay Maria Lourdes, Nancy S. And the bill is currently pending in the committee. The reason why I want this bill to be passed in the Senate because it can give a huge help in every student in this country. The purpose of the act is to give tablet for all the students enrolled in public school and state university and colleges appropriating funds, therefore, and for other purpose. The tablets are for the student education. The tablet can give and can use for learners purposes. This is needed especially now that we have pandemic and some of are in self-study. I will give my best to this act so that the government will approve and I will work for this act and give more benefits to all of the students. The bill will not just focus on tablet but for the student internet too. We all know that a lot of students in this country that are struggling in the internet because not everyone can afford and a lot of students that are lacking in gadgets, especially nowadays that the learning method of students is online class. I really want this bill to be passed because I want to prioritize students. Their education is very important for themselves, for their families, and for this country. I know some of you can imagine this act because this act needs a lot of funds, but even this act will cost a lot of the government should be provide the best for the student in this country. I believe and I will pursue this act so that every student will have the benefits and better support in their education from this government. But I can do this without your help. I need your support in this election and I promise to give my loyalty, fairness, and good service to all of the citizens in this country. Philippine government must give a lot of attention for all the learners in this country. Students are the future of this country. We need to be focused and give them the benefits that they deserve.
Hi, I'm Margaret Callahan, and I'm Dean of the College of Nursing here at Marquette. What we know from a healthcare perspective is that individuals often will have enduring issues related to sexual violence. And that's not solely the victim, it is also victims' friends, families, and it's an experience that transforms people's lives in a negative way that they will carry with them forever.
Hi, my name's Chris Daode. I work in Marquette University's Counseling Center. When it comes to sexual violence prevention efforts at Marquette, we implemented the train the trainer model. Those individuals, which were 40 professionals, were trained in a three-hour training and then went out and provided programming to all of the first-year students in the residence halls. What has happened is we've created a culture where all students are getting a comprehensive program that is delivered to them to engage them in this topic early in their college experience.
Hi, my name is Erica from Boxtel, and I am the MUSG president. As a part of student government, our mission is to make sure that we address students' concerns, issues, and advocate on their behalf to make sure that the Marquette community is as strong and as positive as it can be. And so, in the topic of sexual violence awareness, the education component of it is so important. It's a very serious topic, and so, and not one that normally gets brought up. And so, the importance of it is just to know what, if it's to happen, what you can do, and even if you see it, how you can help in that. And so that's the whole concept of bystander intervention.
Hi, my name is DeAndre Taylor, and I am the O'Donnell Residence Hall Director. The Teeter-Totter Marathon is something that O'Donnell Hall organizes, and it raises awareness against sexual assault. It's a 72-hour marathon, and the guys are out there teeter-tottering for 72 hours straight. It's important because as men, we have to do our part in being allies, being advocates, and being educators against the issue of sexual assault and raising awareness against sexual assault.
We spend this month talking about sexual violence in our community because of the impact that it has on individuals and our entire community. If we stay silent, if we ignore this, it will continue. But if we all join together and become knowledgeable and become willing to be the voice of those individuals who are affected by violence, then we will certainly help transform not only this campus, our community, this world, and that is really something we are called to do at a Jesuit university in a very meaningful way.
Let's move on to our next senator. Next is Mr. Gabriel Pagdanganan.
Hi. I am talking about my own advocacy. This advocacy about those who need financial help. For example, national service training. These things we can help both of us because they can bring out all the talents. First, for example, approval of bill raising statutory age 8. With adjusting the age of sexual consent. The bill also amends the language of the law to be gender responsive and reflect the rape is committed by a person who shall have carnage knowledge of other person, rather than the previous language of defines rape as being between a man and a woman. My own reason about this. It is about young people who have experienced rape, and because of these rules, we can better help young people to protect us from serious situation and help parents for their children and give protection to young people. Second example, National Service Training Program. This purpose of program is recognize the youth vital role in national service, national building, promote continuous among youth and develop their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social being. It shall include in the youth of patriotism, nationalism, and advance their involvement in public and civil affairs. In pursuit of these goals, the youth, the most valuable resource of the nation, should be motivated, trained, organize the mobilize in military training, literacy, civil welfare, and or similar endeavors to the service of nation. On reason about this, we need it now because this experience are harder when you get the job. We first to need have experience in whatever job we're going to get and we're really it in your country to make your own country more developed and better. It will also serve as training from young people even they can graduate. We can bring out their talents because of it.
Gender inequality doesn't make sense on any level. By marginalizing the rights of women, we deny ourselves the opportunity to lift millions of men, women, and children out of poverty, not to mention the chance of a just and fair world. From birth, girls and boys, women and men are expected by society to play certain roles and behave in certain ways based on traditions, religion, and other beliefs. These behaviors are learned and shape the gender norms in a society. Unfortunately, in many countries, gender norms create disadvantages for women. Often, girls are not sent to school. When they become women, they then have limited ability to earn money or realize their potential. Rural women play a major role in agricultural development. However, in many developing countries, women cannot formally own land. Without land, they cannot get loans to invest in their farms or businesses. This also means they have no control over the use of land or the benefits that come from it. Men generally control the household decisions, like how to use the family's assets. These disadvantages are often reinforced by practices that limit women's access to services, like training. Cultural beliefs can also restrict women's opportunities, such as in parts of Zambia where women cannot paddle their boats as it is considered bad omen. The result of these issues? Women remain poor and agricultural production cannot reach its potential, perpetuating poverty and hunger in the developing world. The social norms that limit women's opportunities need to be understood and then changed. By taking a gender transformative approach, we can influence social norms and bridge the gaps in access to resources and services between men and women in a lasting manner. Change is needed on many levels, and both men and women must be involved for it to happen. Research and development organizations need to invest in programs that promote gender equality alongside improving productivity and incomes. Policies need to be implemented that increase women's access to services and resources. Communities need to support women as farmers and as leaders. Increasing women's voice and agency is a valuable end in its own right. When development organizations, policies, and communities support the success of women, we have a chance to reduce extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity for girls and boys, women and men around the world.
Let's move on to our next senator.
House Bill number 4982, or an act prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity or expression, SOGI, and providing penalties, therefore, is the first of its kind in the country. Other anti-discrimination bills have been filed in the past, but this never. SOGI is specific, lumping the lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, and queer sector, LGBT community plus sector with others such as differently abled in the dangerous group. It backs to square for the bill, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender, identity or expression after the Senate failed to tackle the longest-running bill in the period of interpellation in the upper chamber at the end of 17th Congress season after 902 calendar days since Senator Risa Hontiveros sponsored it and having language at second reading part. SOGI, the counterability bill at the Senate was not approved. As I read in this election, I want to pass the SOGI bill. Why I would want to pass this If myself doesn't belong in the LGBT community, I'm not belong in the community, but I am a human too. We deserve to live with no discrimination in this world. We are all human that need to live our lives freely. With no people judging our existence, this bill needs to be passed in the Senate to protect our brothers and sisters that belong in LGBT community.
The idea of human rights is that each one of us, no matter who we are or where we are born, is entitled to the same basic rights and freedoms. Human rights are not privileges, and they cannot be granted or revoked. They are inalienable and universal. That may sound straightforward enough, but it gets incredibly complicated as soon as anyone tries to put the idea into practice. What exactly are the basic human rights? Who gets to pick them? Who enforces them, and how? The history behind the concept of human rights is a long one. Throughout the centuries and across societies, religions, and cultures, we have struggled with defining notions of rightfulness, justice, and rights. But one of the most modern affirmations of universal human rights emerged from the ruins of World War II with the creation of the United Nations. The treaty that established the UN gives as one of its purposes to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights. And with the same spirit, in 1948, the UN General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This document, written by an international committee chaired by Eleanor Roosevelt, lays the basis for modern international human rights law. The Declaration is based on the principle that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. It lists 30 articles recognizing, among other things, the principle of non-discrimination and the right to life and liberty. It refers to negative freedoms, like the freedom from torture or slavery, as well as positive freedoms, such as the freedom of movement and residence. It encompasses basic civil and political rights, such as freedom of expression, religion, or peaceful assembly, as well as social, economic, and cultural rights, such as the right to education and the right to freely choose one's occupation and be paid and treated fairly. The Declaration takes no sides as to which rights are more important, insisting on their universality, indivisibility, and interdependence. And in the past decades, international human rights law has grown, deepening and expanding our understanding of what human rights are and how to better protect them. So if these principles are so well developed, then why are human rights abused and ignored time and time again all over the world? The problem, in general, is that it is not at all easy to universally enforce these rights or to punish transgressors. The UDHR itself, despite being highly authoritative and respected, is a declaration, not a hard law. So when individual countries violate it, the mechanisms to address those violations are weak. For example, the main bodies within the UN in charge of protecting human rights mostly monitor and investigate violations, but they cannot force states to, say, change a policy or compensate a victim. That's why some critics say it's naive to consider human rights a given in a world where state interests wield so much power. Critics also question the universality of human rights and emphasize that their development has been heavily guided by a small number of mostly Western nations, to the detriment of inclusiveness. The result? A general bias in favor of civil political liberties over socio-political rights, and of individual over collective or groups' rights. Others defend universal human rights laws and point at the positive role they have on setting international standards and helping activists in their campaigns. They also point out that not all international human rights instruments are powerless. For example, the European Convention on Human Rights establishes a court where the 47 member countries and their citizens can bring cases. The court issues binding decisions that each member state must comply with. Human rights law is constantly evolving, as are our views and definitions of what the basic human rights should be. For example, how basic or important is the right to democracy or to development? And as our lives are increasingly digital, should there be a right to access the internet? A right to digital privacy? What do you think?
And lastly, for our senators, may I call on Miss Rachel Manlapig.
My focus is all about who is more deserving of attention. I wish to enact a law that will lower the price of items, especially food like rice, meat, and vegetable. When the price drop, I want every family in our community to be able to eat enough food. Equality of human rights is a legal concept. I want to put it in place because first, equality of people because many of us become wealthy as a result of corruption or fraud and unfairness in the marketplace, and many others are trapped as a result. This is also why I believe our society is not growing. This is one of the primary reasons for the rise in poverty in our country. And it's on this that we should concentrate our efforts. The second most important aspect is education, especially for children and adults. In rural places where there are no schools, in order to expand their knowledge of food tips and avoid being labeled as uneducated, so that they too might to achieve their goals. It is also the most efficient way of charting our country's progress because once they understand something, they will not be easily ducked by others and will be able to apply it to their daily requirements through hard effort and determination. There is a lot to learn about goods that can be obtained, and as people, odds of having an education and graduating rise, our country's poverty rate falls. I am grateful to be given the opportunity to speak in front of you and hear what I want to implement in our government to promote the good for everyone. I am your servant, Rachel Manlapig, Senate candidate for Change Party List. Have a wonderful day, everyone!
Thank you for our wonderful speech from our senators. Now let's move on to the next. Let's welcome our Vice President for its speech, Miss Shairem Zulweta.
This was my first year at this institution, and I must say that I adore it, as well as the individuals who work here, particularly my classmates. I met a truly nice person that I can call a true best friend right here at school. They know how to treat new students with respect and are quite friendly. I'm standing in front of you to solicit your vote in the upcoming election. I feel that I have helped to desire and enthusiasm to help others in my own modest manner of caring, and that I am capable of listening to my peers who are having difficulties during this stressful school year. I want to improve and become a better student by utilizing my own leadership, talent, and expertise. I believe that in order to be a successful leader, you must be a good listener. Because listener allows you to discover where the problem began, and as a result, you can establish a feasible solution to any problem. I understand the value of teamwork as a former athlete. This is something I am very proud to have. I feel that collaboration is the key to achieving any goal. I understand that Colegio de Calumpit is a fine institution, but I feel that by working together we can improve it and assist each other learn more effectively in our studies. Together, we will create memories that we will cherish for the rest of our lives, a memory that we can all be proud of because by being good to others and by simple ways, we can make everyone smile. My goal is to provide good leadership to everyone in our school so that we may all be inspired to be a good to one another and not be frightened to exhibit our true selves or acquire confidence in our institution. I also wish to introduce an activity in the senior high school department that will help us unify and get to know one another. It may be a small piece of a team building exercise. Our school has a lot of room for improvement, and I am ready to help you in any way I can. All I ask is that you vote for me and give me the opportunity to serve you, my fellow CCIans. Please cast your vote wisely. Love you all.
And lastly, we have Janjeric T. Sabino for the presidential candidate. Equality is the soul of liberty. There is, in effect, no liberty without equality. This is what Francis Wright said in his quote. It is a simple word but can bring a huge effect in the world we are living in. I believe that equality will give us freedom to showcase our talent, our ability, ourselves to every little eyes that we're looking. My advocacy through equality are also raising awareness among the general public about discrimination and measures for its prevention, and monitoring the general situation on the national level in the field of protection against discrimination. Equality will change one's perspective towards another. It will define your character of who you are and what you believe in. Equality will remind us that everyone must be treated fairly with justice. Like those indigenous women in the rural area, they want their rights to be recognized as equally as men and boys have their rights and recognized. To have control over their lives and land, water, resources, and their bodies. To have access to education and other services. To be protected against climate change and natural disasters. And to protect their countryside against rapid urbanization and encroachment by corporations. Equality will unify the nation and its people. Equality will give every human a purpose to do the rightful thing. Reality, or just a wishful thinking. It is just a simple word, easy to understand, but hard to achieve. But if we are going to start it within ourselves with a little things that we can do for others inch by inch. Little by little, we are moving forward to a better life, better individual, and be the best human being that we can be. We can make a better future. We can make this world more better to live in. If we can unify, if every one of us will do some good deeds to others, don't you think it can be multiplied? One way or the other way, they will do the same thing to others, and those people that receive a good deeds from others will do the same. Equality should begin within ourselves to set example to every student, to every individual. Again, this is Janjeric T. Sabino, running for the position of President. I believe that everything happened with a purpose. I'm thanking the Lord Almighty because I'm here standing in front of you. Taking the chance that you might open your ears, your heart, and your mind to touch the lives of others by doing one great deed that they will pass to others. Before I end, let me read a quote by Whitfield. Fairness is not an attitude. It is a professional skill that we must develop and exercise. So we must start now. What a great advocacy and platform from our candidates. But before we end this meeting, let's all give them a round of applause. Again, this is Janjeric T. Sabino, your host for today.